From We Own This Town, this is The Hills Are Alive, a movie musical podcast. Willkommen, bienvenue.
Welcome.
Welcome to our show. Today, obviously, we're discussing Cabaret.
Cabaret.
And in the spirit of imbibing at the club, at the Kit Kat Club, we brought our own champagne because it's Kelsey's birthday.
Yay. Okay.
Pop it.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Pour it up.
Alex was so nervous that I wouldn't be able to do that as a non-professional. And I said, you have no idea how much champagne I drink. I am a professional.
So happy birthday, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Got any big plans?
Well, yesterday, my friends and I had a little bit of a crawfish boil.
Oh.
Is that good? Do you want some more?
No, it's plenty.
Okay. Yeah, so we had a crawfish boil, and we had some crab and shrimp and sausage and potatoes and all that stuff.
Yum. Did you spread it out on the table?
We did. Yeah, it was really, really nice. Yeah, I was very grateful. My friends did a really good job. They planned everything, and it was tasty. And
Yum.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's my birthday soon as well.
That's true.
We're Taurus buddies.
Yes, I'm a Taurus Aries cusp.
I see.
Bit of Taurus. Mm-hmm. You know.
I mean, I feel like, I don't really subscribe to astrology at all, but I tend to get along with other Tauruses. Do you feel the same?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get them.
I don't know if
They
it's
get
like
me.
a very Taurus-y thing to just, like, be really into other Tauruses, but...
Do you know what the zodiac sign is for September?
No.
Me neither, and I should know this. I mean, I'm not crazy into horoscopes, but I've just always thought it's so weird. So, like, my stepdad, stepmom, and dad all have the same birthday.
Weird.
Isn't that so weird? And then my mom's birthday is, like, a few days before theirs. So, like, all four of my parents have a birthday either on the same day or within, like, 10 days.
That's crazy.
So whatever their sign is, they have to be really into each other. Yeah. That's so weird.
My mom was actually born on my grandma's birthday. So she's like like a birthday present baby.
Wow.
Isn't that cute?
It's adorable. So, okay, I think it's Virgo is... Well,
September.
Virgo is through September 22nd. So I think it would actually be... Most of them are Libras, but they're all on the cusp. So,
Okay.
Virgo Libras are very into each other. Based on what I know.
Is Libra like... Isn't that like a ditzy sign? I might be a...
Thank you. That's my whole family, but okay.
Your family's dumb. I actually don't know anything about astrology, so please don't take that personally.
Yeah, you are calling out a lot of people. You're going to attack all Libras like that. All right. Anyways, look, we love all signs.
That's true.
Equally. What's new with you? Anything?
I am, fully vaxxed, which
Yay.
is great.
Yeah, I get my second shot on Wednesday. Can't wait. It's a whole, everything's changing.
Yes.
We even have the plexiglass barrier down.
Yes, we are, looking at each other without a piece of plastic between us.
There's no barriers between us.
I love it. Yeah, I think my full 2 weeks is up on Thursday, but I think that, after my second shot. So I think I'm, pretty much there.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
And I feel free. I love it.
Good. I'm very happy. I'm happy for all of us.
And we're going on a little trip to Chattanooga tomorrow.
I also recently took a little Chattanooga trip because it's such an easy drive and it's a beautiful place and it's, pretty affordable compared to Nashville.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a great day trip.
Yeah, Anna.
Are you going to go to the aquarium?
Yes.
I love the aquarium.
So, Anna, friend of the podcast.
Yeah, we love Anna.
She's our listener.
Our one listener. That's not true. There are 2.
Yeah. Maybe 3. But she and her boyfriend got a house there for a couple of days and invited us, and it has a hot tub, and it's going to be fun.
Well, okay, so a friend of half of the podcast. Just kidding. Anyways. No, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. And a coworker of mine used to live there and gave me like a sheet-long list of like recommended places to go. Yes.
Yeah, cool. Well, listen, speaking of fun facts, did you know there's such thing as a dog license? Because I learned all about that after our last episode.
My sister made sure to text us and tell us that, in fact, dog licenses do exist.
Not only do they exist up north, they exist in Nashville. So if you're currently listening to this and you live in Nashville and you don't have a dog license, you need to go get one.
Better go get one.
Yeah, it's not really a license. It's more like a registration, right. But it's a license.
It's not like you have to, like, take a test or something.
I'm pretty sure they exist for cats, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oops. I've got 3 illegal cats.
Okay, so should we talk about Cabaret? I mean, I don't know. We could.
I guess so.
Let's do it.
I guess that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So, first of all, have you seen Cabaret before this?
Yes. Yeah, Cabaret is one of my favorites.
I had never seen it before.
Do you love it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great, right?
It was way different than I thought it would be.
A lot darker, right?
Yeah, and I had no idea, especially for the time period that it came, like 71?
72.
72. That I didn't know there was so much, like, gay content and, like, abortion talk and all that. Like, I had no idea.
And, I mean, it's like they don't hold anything back.
Yeah.
It's very upfront. They don't use coded language.
No.
They're very frank about sexuality. And, you know, this is also all taking place in 1931.
Right.
But I don't think that anything, well, I mean, maybe some of it was a stretch, but it is based upon some autobiographical works.
Yes.
And the area of Germany where it takes place, it was known for a little while for being very
hedonistic.
Well, if that's what that's what a lot of people would say. But so like the guy who wrote the book that it's all of this is based upon,
Christopher Isherwood. Yeah,
he actually moved to, what is it, the Weimar Republic? I guess you maybe say Weimar.
Yeah.
But it's not like I say Weimaranian.
Yeah, in Weimar, Berlin.
Yeah, he moved to that area to live openly
as a gay man.
Yeah. And I mean, if you could do that in the 30s or the 20s,
so
that's pretty groundbreaking.
In his like autobiographical book.
There you go.
So he like went to live openly as a gay man. He never really had a relationship with the Sally character. But he did go with her to get her abortion, and
I read about that.
And he pretended to be the father. Yeah,
so that I guess they allowed it if
you had permission from the father.
Yeah, there was consent. But yeah, he played that role, and I guess they got it done. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what happened to the actual father.
The actual father...
Didn't he just, like, peace out or something?
Let me see. I think so.
I mean, that would be a shock.
She assumed the father was this jazz pianist who later became an actor named Peter von Eyck. But he abandoned her, and that's when she had her abortion. So I think he just kind of disappeared. But
I can't believe that.
Who would have thought? But she almost died from the procedure, actually, but didn't.
Yeah, that is how that goes. Mm-hmm. So we're in this like very bohemian, slightly debaucherous.
So the Wikipedia article on this, whoever wrote it has some flowery language. They called the area and the club, they called it orgiastic.
Oh, that's a form of that word I've not heard before.
It exists. I looked it up.
It's real. Okay.
It's like,
hey, learn something new every day.
Something that resembles an orgy.
Now that you've seen that word, you're going to notice it everywhere.
Yeah.
Actually, probably not. But
Right. I'm going to...
Depends on what you read
I'll
about.
notice it everywhere because I'm going to use it all the time.
Yeah, like, I don't know what your normal reading content is, but...
But I didn't realize in the making of this movie, I didn't realize how many times it had been adapted. So it started as his book.
Yes.
And then it was made into a play called... I Am a Camera.
Right. And that's where part of basically the subplot between Fritz and Natalia, that's where that comes from.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it was not until they made the stage musical version, there's this whole storyline in that sort of replaced the Fritz Natalia storyline, which is that the landlady of the boarding house is in love with I don't know if she's Jewish or he's Jewish.
It's similar.
It's similar, but she's in love with like a fruit merchant or something.
Yeah.
But they cut that entirely from the movie and replaced it with the storyline from the first play. Right. Which was the Fritz Natalia storyline.
Yes.
But neither
this is getting so complicated.
Neither of those storylines I think were in the book.
No.
So it's very complicated.
Yeah. And there are a lot of revisions that Bob Fosse wanted for the movie. Yeah. So like the movie doesn't resemble, I mean, you know, your basic building blocks are there, but the movie is really, really different from the stage show.
Way different.
I think they cut a lot of songs. Basically any song that took place outside of the Kit Kat Club, they cut it.
Yeah. Fun fact.
Okay.
So when they were making the stage show, Fosse's friend, Jerome Robbins.
Yeah.
He's making another appearance.
Friend or like friendly rival?
Yeah, friendly rival, professional acquaintance.
He's mentioned a couple times in Fosse Verdon. He doesn't make any appearances. Well, I don't know. I actually never finished it, but I don't think he does. Yeah. But yeah, he comes up and it's usually like in a sort of competition kind of context. Right.
Like Mr. Sheffield and Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, but with like with asshole choreographers.
Yes. But Jerome Robbins told him when they were making the stage show. No, it wasn't Fosse then. Who was involved in the stage show? Because Fosse wasn't involved until the movie, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
So it was whoever made the stage musical. It's in here somewhere. But he told him to cut all the songs that weren't in the club, and he disregarded that. So ended up taking that advice when making the movie, because every song is in the club except for the one that the Nazi sings.
Yeah. Little Nazi number.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, fun facts.
Do you, before we deep dive into the recap, do you have any overall thoughts or a rating or?
I give it an A.
Okay, that's very exciting.
Yeah. Okay. What about you?
Yeah, I give it an A. Yeah, I really, really like it.
There wasn't much to.
I mean, there's parts of it that. I mean, I really can't criticize the movie. There are parts that I don't love, but it's really more like the characters that I don't love. But I do think that it's, for what it's doing in 1972, I think it's extremely well done.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, is that for the time, this is fucking groundbreaking. Yeah. But, you know, they didn't they didn't lean all the way into him like being fully gay. You know, they had to like have him have a relationship with Sally, which I don't necessarily believe.
Well, see, I think it's great. I think that there probably should be more male bisexuality representation because you really don't see it a lot.
That's true. You know, you're right.
Okay.
But as far as being true to the
I did read some
story.
criticisms of Cabaret where they do talk about Brian's sexuality and how, you know, maybe it is a negative that they didn't fully embrace homosexuality, like maybe by making him bi, that was sort of a crutch to be more accessible, I guess.
Right.
But, I mean, I just don't see it that way because I don't think he's portrayed negatively in any light whatsoever. I love Brian.
Yeah.
I think he's an angel.
Yeah.
He's so cute. Like,
yeah.
So I don't really see that. And yeah, again, like I don't know. I just don't view it as, I don't view bisexuality as a crutch.
Yeah, and
on the path to homosexuality.
No, it's not like a stepping stone. I mean, I feel like bisexuality has been stigmatized in that way so many times over the years. As far as like, if you're bi, then you're probably you're just gay and you don't want to admit it. Blah, blah, blah. Because for a lot of gay people, you do make that. I mean, I remember in high school, I would like told my friends, I was like, well, maybe I'm bi.
And I mean, like, and if you're a straight, well, excuse me, not a straight person, but like a straight presenting person, like if you're a woman married to a man and then you come out as bi, it's like nobody believes you.
Right.
It's just, no one's going to buy it.
But it shouldn't be that way, you know? And I feel like that's a conversation that's happening a lot right now, is allowing people who are queer, who not necessarily are solely homosexual, allow them to embrace their queerness even if they're in a straight relationship.
Okay, so let's
the sizzle of the champagne.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Go to the recap.
We start with
silence.
Yeah, once again we don't get an overture. We just get silence as like the ambient noise starts to build.
I was like checking my
Oh no, I had to crank it to like 55.
Yeah, I was like, did the version that I rented is it missing the sound? I was
Yeah. But then we do finally get to Joel Grey, who plays the Master of Ceremonies.
And this whole time, the sound, like the audience noise, is rising. Like you can hear.
That ambient noise is building and building and building.
Yeah.
And, he gives the opening number, which is Willkommen.
And he starts...
And I love it.
He starts in front of a mirror, which was actually part of the stage show.
Oh, okay. So they kept a few things.
The stage show opened with the curtains open. So, like, when people are filing into the theater, the curtains were open and there's a big mirror where they're just looking at themselves.
I love that.
Right?
Oh, and that's kind of neat because the very end... It's the same. You're looking at that warped mirror, but it's a lot darker because the people in it are Nazis. So Joel Grey, as the Master of Ceremonies MC, he gives us Willkommen. It's, I mean, I can't really say enough about it. I love it. Like, as soon as you hear that first piano, it's catchy as hell.
And Joel Grey, that's his name?
Yes.
Is fantastic, and I think he's had the most decorated performance.
He was the MC on stage as well, and I read that the producer, I think his last name is Fuer. It's spelled weird. It's like Fueer. Anyways, point is, it was a requirement that Joel Grey be cast in the movie as well. Yeah. Like, I read that it was an ultimatum for Bob Fosse. Either you take it or you're not directing this movie.
Right. And this is only 6 years after the premiere of the stage musical.
Okay. So,
66.
Got adapted pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. As they're performing, Willkommen. We see Brian Roberts, who's played by Michael York. Michael York is probably to audiences today most famous for being Basil in Austin Powers.
Right, yes.
But he was Logan in Logan's Run. That's where I know him from. And he's a really cute guy.
Yeah.
I really like him.
He's such a sweetheart.
He's a sweetheart, and he's charming.
Naive and,
Just kind of innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's very Christian and Moulin Rouge.
He wants to descend into the village of sin.
But he is a PhD candidate from Cambridge. He's studying linguistics.
Yes.
And he has come to Berlin, I guess just to further his studies, and his plan is to teach English lessons to make a living while he's there. So we see him get off the train, and he arrives at the boarding house.
Yes.
Where American Sally Bowles is living, and we have just been introduced to Sally. She was on stage dancing at the Kit Kat Club,
but kind of in the background. She's not.
She's not like a featured. Yeah. No, they introduce her like specifically as the American, but she's not featured quite yet.
Yeah. And she is sort of this was interesting to me, and I don't know why. I mean, when he arrives, she is the one that's like, "Oh, come in. This is your room." Like, but she's not the landlady.
No, but that's Sally.
Yeah.
Like she's really bombastic. Like she really throws herself into any and every situation that she finds herself in. Like she would never just back into a corner.
Yeah.
She would never be a wallflower. Like she has to insert herself into everything.
And towards the first part of this movie, I was like, she's kind of a manic pixie dream girl.
Oh my God, no, she really is.
But,
like before we saw Garden State and started viewing women in that context, like even before Annie Hall. Although I don't know, when did Annie Hall come out? Like, I don't...
70s.
I don't like, what do you...
Probably around this time.
Yeah. Which I guess she would also be considered an OG manic pixie dream girl. But no, I think that Sally Bowles totally has those vibes.
But as her character develops, she's more than that.
Yeah, I think that the key difference with Sally is that she's hurting all the time.
Yeah.
And the way that she acts and the way that she acts out is just like a constant call for attention and like love.
Yeah.
Like she's clearly lacking it from her father.
Right.
And the song maybe
this time.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So good.
It's heartbreaking. I will say, okay, so that's one thing about this movie that it's not that I dislike it, but I wish it was given more prominence in the film.
Which was what
the song when she sings.
Yeah, it's kind of broken up by other little scenes, which is strange.
It's just like she's not really. I mean, yeah, she's singing solo on stage at the club, and she has on a cute get-up, but it's not like. I don't know. It comes at a weird time in the movie, like right in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's surrounded by a lot of other action.
Yeah.
And for me, it's such a showstopper number. I feel like there should be more that builds up to it and just more like cinematic, presentation to it. It could be the "and I am telling you" of the movie. Yeah, exactly. Or I was thinking about, God, I hate that I can't remember. But the one in White Christmas when we get Rosemary Clooney. Yeah, like it could be one of those. And it just feels really subtle. Like it feels subdued. Yeah. Her performance is not. I mean, her vocals are mwah. Yeah, incredible. Anyway. And I feel like these days, Liza Minnelli isn't really given... people sort of
view her as kind of a joke, you know?
Oh, yeah, totally.
And I don't think she deserves that. And I feel like...
No, she's an icon and a legend.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, you're so right. And part of it is because, like, it's not that Fosse is a joke, but, like, jazz hands.
Right.
And bowlers and canes. And, like, everything about his aesthetic has kind of become a joke.
Yeah.
But only because, like, that's what screams musical to a lot of people. Like, this is where, I don't know, people just inherently view musicals as silly.
Right.
And it's funny because Cabaret was actually one of the first musicals, if not the first, to feature such a gritty, dark...
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a happy musical.
Right.
And the reason, or a big reason it was so successful, was because Bob Fosse, as the director, and Gwen Verdon, who assisted on everything, and really deserved some co-credits. They were very insistent that it not be "quote unquote" shot like a musical.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing is that it's, and this might also sort of explain what you were talking about that song not having that show-stopping moment. Is that there's not a lot of, like, fantasy in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in order to do what you're talking about, it would have to be, like, this sort of, like... You know how in Chicago, how, like...
Another Fosse
right.
production.
But Roxy's numbers are, like, this sort of fantasy world.
Sure.
You know, and that's why they're so, like, blitzed out.
Elaborate, right. Yeah. No, but that makes sense. Like, actually, I hadn't thought of it that way. Like, maybe it's subdued for a reason because the movie is so based in reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be true.
Because they don't, it's not like they have the budget at the Kit Kat Club to, like, put on this, you know.
I guess it's just, like, it's the pacing of the movie. It's just where it appears in the film. Like, I feel like it could come much closer to the end.
Yeah, it would maybe have more emotional impact.
It would have more emotional impact, and I don't think it would change anything in terms of Sally's character.
Yeah.
But then again, it might make her a little bit more emotionally attached than we're supposed to believe that she is.
Right.
Maybe I just want that emotion to be there when it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So he is... He has arrived at the boarding house. She shows him his room, and she agrees to let him use her room for his
English
tutoring.
lessons.
Yes.
Yeah,
because her room is bigger and has a couch or whatever.
She makes them a pair of prairie oysters, which is like a raw egg and Worcestershire sauce concoction that's supposed to cure hangovers. Or
I love
something.
how she just assumes that he's hungover. Because she is.
Yeah. And that's how she is. She just, she embraces everyone as though they're living the same life she is.
Yes. So then, she says that she's only been living there for 3 months.
Yeah, forever, 3 months.
And it seems like she has a pretty established lifestyle there.
How could she not? I mean, she's so outgoing.
Right. Yeah, she's the kind of person that jumps into every situation as if she's... You know.
And we really don't ever find out, like, does she come from money or does she not? I'm leaning towards no.
Yeah. We never see
that,
her
like,
father.
He's practically an ambassador. It's just something that she says.
Well, yeah, because that whole conversation is a lie.
But the telegram was real.
Which telegram?
The telegram that her father sends, and basically when he blows her off, and he only includes 10 words because they charge you extra if you add on more. The telegram is real.
Yeah.
Now, the story in the telegram could be fake. So, I mean, the point is we have no idea.
Right. But in that conversation, when she's talking about that, she's like, me and my father have this amazing relationship. Like,
so if she's lying about that, she may as well be lying about his career.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, probably does not come from money. But I don't know. I mean, the actors that she's based upon did come from money. So it's possible.
Yeah. And sort of like abandon that for her bohemian lifestyle.
So once we've got Brian and Sally established, we cut to Sally performing
Sally's first number.
Mine Hair.
Mine Hair.
Oh my God, it's so good. And this is like the most like Fosse number in the whole show.
Yeah.
We've got the Kit Kat Club dancers.
Is this the one where she ends like sprawled across the chair?
Yes.
Yes.
They're all using the chairs as props. I mean, even more than props, really.
Yeah.
And they, they're laying horizontally across the chair and propping their legs up, like bound. Like, I hate to use this analogy, but they're planking. And it's just like to give you an idea of how much it must hurt to do this. And they're snapping, and she comes out in the vest only, no shirt underneath, and a bowler. And
What are what is that style of bangs called with the point in the middle?
Okay, so I'm not sure what it's called, but it looks like a widow's peak.
Right.
And I mean, it's a widow's peak is just like a natural hairline when it does that like vampire or Eddie Munster look.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the haircut would be called, but I do know that she styled it based upon Louise Brooks, who was a 1930s actress that her dad was a big fan of.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, she asked him, what should I go for 1930s, sex symbol? And he said, Louise Brooks.
I love her hair in this movie.
I do too. It's one of my favorite things. Yeah.
So, and Brian has come to the club.
Yeah, Brian.
To see her perform.
Yeah, he's at the club, and I think once she's done performing, doesn't she she literally calls him over to her table because they have this like old-fashioned setup.
Yeah, I was like, what is with these like phones in the club where you can call between tables?
I'm vaguely familiar with these. Like they weren't around, certainly not in my generation. But back in the day, this was a thing where at like a nightclub or even like at a diner, there would be a phone set up at every table and you could call any table you wanted.
That's so fun.
And I know, we should bring it back. Right? And like invite people over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How very COVID guidelines of them.
That too. I know, like now is the time,
right.
Business owners, specifically in Nashville.
Right.
Now is the time to bring back the table phones.
So she calls him over. Is this when she's with Fritz?
Yeah, she introduces him to Fritz, and Fritz, he needs English lessons, so it's a perfect match. And, Fritz, basically we learned that he, is poor.
He's poor, he's friends with Sally, but they don't sleep on each other.
Yeah, he has trouble with prepositions. Yeah, they don't sleep on each other. Not him and Sally.
And then we have some mud wrestling.
Does that happen this early?
Yeah.
The mud wrestling? Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw that, I was so surprised that mud wrestling existed in the 30s. But...
I mean, it's just a really orgiastic society.
So they're mud wrestling. Sally and Brian are becoming fast friends.
Yes.
He's not caught off guard. Like she I think she's trying to shock him. She even asks him, do I shock you? And he says no. And she's like, what? No.
Oh yeah.
Are you sure? She's trying to, and he's just
going along with it.
He's going along with it. He's not alarmed by her frank manners.
Yeah. He likes it.
I think he does.
Yeah.
And he's intrigued.
Yeah. I mean, he's new and
like, who is this girl?
He's new in town, and he, I assume that he sort of, this is what he's looking for, is someone to like show him. He's the total
Zach Braff character.
Oh God.
I know, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to ruin the movie.
Oh, and so then at the club.
I mean, but hold on. Like, this is like when they do have like the Garden State moment.
Which one? What do you mean?
Okay, so in Garden State, they go to the rock quarry and they all scream.
Oh, and they scream.
You know what? Garden State has a cabaret moment. That's how it works.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're becoming friends and she hears the train. She's like, oh my God, come with me. And she runs off and she just screams because the train is passing over, and then she gets him to do it, and it's just like, oh, adorable.
And the thing is, that hadn't been done before when this came out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It hadn't been done before, and I also really love the line, like, oh, come on, don't be so British.
He's like, oh, I couldn't.
Don't be so British. Like, who's not thought that at least once about a British person?
I couldn't. But when they were at the club, did you... somebody is kicking a Nazi out of the club.
Yes. Yeah.
But
that's happening, like, they do a lot of, we can't call them montages, but they do a lot of scene jumping.
Right.
And you don't get elongated scenes. You don't get lengthy scenes when they jump around, so it's kind of like...
Yeah,
it's not like frantic, but you got to pay attention.
But I think it's happening while the mud wrestling is happening.
It's either yeah, you're right. It's during the mud wrestling, or is it when, or maybe this happens later. There's another cut scene where they're doing like a German folk style dance. That's when
the same dude is getting beat up by the Nazis.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do like cut back and forth between the stage number and...
If something physical is happening on stage, something physical is also happening off stage, basically.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, which is a cool thing, a cool part of this movie that I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm. So while they're walking home, I mean, they do the screaming thing. There's lots of Nazi flags and propaganda around.
Right.
It's just sort of like this... kind of in the background until it comes to a head, you know.
Yeah, throughout the whole movie, Nazism is building and building and building until...
And I feel like that's why, because it's originally set, and the action that it's based on was more around like 1929, but I think they put it in 1931 so that... you know, that tension could really build and come to a head when...
I think it was like 1933 when the Nazi political party like officially took over. Right. So it's like in the very last days of what was an otherwise... I mean, I don't know, like a relatively happy time.
Yeah.
At the same time, Jean Ross, who the character Sally is based upon, she was a little dissatisfied with the film and felt like... I don't want to say sugarcoating is the right word, but she said, you know, they left out a lot of the poverty and the Nazis marching through the streets. Like, she was basically just saying, like, it was a lot. It was even darker than it looks.
Yeah. But there is something about it being this sort of, like, looming specter in the background.
Yeah, and the way it builds and builds and builds.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's...
Without addressing it directly.
It's subtle.
Yeah.
But it's there.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is almost, like, more terrifying.
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it happens.
Yeah.
It's just little things here and there until all of a sudden it's all around you and there's nothing you can do to control it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so anyway.
Oh, this, okay.
So they scream. And this is when it cuts to the Nazis beating up the guy who kicked them out.
Yeah.
And that's happening during what I called the Lederhosen number.
Right. So we're back at the boarding house now.
Uh-huh.
And Sally introduces Brian to Herr Ludwig, who is an erotic publisher.
Yes, which he doesn't know when he agrees to translate the book.
Yeah, and he doesn't even want to agree to it. Sally has this way of overselling everyone.
Yeah.
And
she calls him like a famous writer.
Yeah. She's definitely oversold his credentials, but it also seems to me that Herr Ludwig is like completely aware of the fact that Sally is exaggerating some aspects, and B, he does not care because he's an erotic works publisher,
so he needs
anyone. Brian is a little bit shook by this, but he needs the money, and he's not that judgy, so he's willing to go with it.
So he's reading this book, and he's like, "This is dirty."
Ooh la la!
And she's
It's
like,
called something. The Whip Lady.
Yes, and he's like, "It's pornographic." And she's like, "Well, yeah."
I wonder, when I heard him say the Whip Lady, this wasn't something I realized the first time I was watching it, but this time I started wondering, like, do you think he ever figured out that the translation would be dominatrix and not Whip Lady?
I don't know if I wonder if that term existed.
Did it exist? I think it probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't think that you would. I don't know if you would call it.
Hello, I'm here to see the Whip Lady. They wouldn't even let you in. So during this scene, Sally decides to shoot her shot.
She's gonna make her move. She's like, he's reading smut. He's probably gonna be into this.
She really goes for it. She asks him how much he likes her body.
Like, do you love my body? She's like, this part's flat, and then this part is, and then she puts his hands on her pubes.
Yeah, she takes it as far as she possibly can.
Yeah.
And he is not reciprocating at all.
And this is the part of it where I'm like, I don't know.
Wouldn't she suggest that, like, well, maybe you don't even like girls?
Right.
And, like, I mean, that's a classic, like, bitchy woman move to be like, oh,
well, you don't like me, you must be gay.
Right.
But the thing is that he doesn't seem interested, you know? This is where, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a conflicting scene.
Yeah. Because he obviously is, like, uncomfortable, and
he's obviously uncomfortable. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, like, Sally is very needy. She thinks that she needs attention, like, specifically male attention, like, and this is how she gets it.
Yeah.
And that if she doesn't get it that way, that means she is unworthy of love.
Right.
More or less. I mean, I think that's where her headspace is at.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, like, that makes her behavior okay.
I don't think that her behavior necessarily, this particular instance, her behavior is probably not okay. You know, it's a little bit.
It's a bit much.
It's a little rapey.
Bit much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But her behavior overall, as far as being free sexually, is fine.
Yeah, I think in this moment she's just like, she's being a little slutty because she's a little needy. You know what I mean? Like, she needs comfort.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah. And the company of a man, in the biblical sense, is what she uses to feel that.
And if we're being frank, she wasn't 100% wrong about his views on women.
No.
She wasn't totally wrong.
No. She does. I think that this movie is telling us that she has daddy issues.
You think? You think she does? He does confide with her that he has only been with 3 women, and it was
bad. It was
disaster
forced.
Every time.
Right.
And she immediately accepts it. She's like, oh.
Yeah,
well,
she's...
Okay,
yeah,
that's
she's
fine.
like, if you are, that's fine. Like, she's very... Like, for the 30s, is very... progressive about her ideas.
Yeah, it's still very binary. Like, you either have to like men or you like women.
Yeah.
But the fact that she believes he only likes men, she's fine with it.
Right.
Yeah. Says they're better off friends anyway.
And he says that he's not really practicing sex with anyone. He says that he's pretty much celibate.
Yeah, because he doesn't know what he wants or who he wants or who he is. He doesn't really know anything. I mean, I don't know how old he is. He's a PhD candidate, so probably like mid-20s.
Probably.
But, I mean, he's a baby.
The girl who it's based on, Jean Ross, she was only 19.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they were all youngins.
Very young, yes.
Angels.
So we cut to Sally's apartment, and Brian is tutoring Fritz.
Yeah, he's finishing up a lesson with Fritz Windel, or Windel.
The one who is not doing sex on Sally. They're not sleeping on each other.
At first, when I first saw this, I thought he was joking about being a gigolo, but I think he's serious. Watching it this time, I was like, oh no, I think he's telling the truth.
I think he's a gigolo in the sense that he's looking for money from the...
Yeah, the term might be different, but he does say that he canceled 3 dates.
Well, but she calls him a gigolo, and she's like, he's a gigolo. Yeah, he only wants me for my money. In that context, you know?
Yeah, but like, what does it mean when he says that to hang out with them? Like, he canceled 3 dates.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like paid gigs to me.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. But he's finishing up his lesson with Fritz, and he mentions that he has a new pupil coming by, and it's Natalia Landauer of the famous Landauers.
A rich Jewish woman.
Yeah. Basically, I don't know if it's a real store, maybe in Europe, but I'm not familiar with it. But in the movie, they are a wealthy Jewish family known for owning a department store, presumably called Landauer's.
Right.
Fritz is extremely excited by the news of a rich woman coming by.
Right.
We don't know it at this point, but Fritz is in fact Jewish.
Right.
And he's hiding it the whole time.
He's come to Berlin to start a new life as a non-Jewish person.
Yeah, because he can see just the way that things are going.
Yeah.
And later on in the film, I mean, he discusses how, like, I gave up that part of myself, that part of my identity, and you know what? I got friends.
Yeah.
I got parties. I got a job.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it sucks, but he does get a full and complete resolution by the end of the movie. So
I was so glad that there wasn't explicitly a bad ending for them.
No, not at all.
But who knows what happened later, you know, whatever.
It ends. It just ended.
It ends and
nothing else happened. Okay, so
Sally shows up right before Natalia does.
Yeah, Sally shows up and she's like huffy about something.
Yeah.
And she demands that she have a drink right then and there. And Michael's like, or not Michael, the actor is Michael, but Brian is like, you did say we could use your room for this.
And she's like, fuck fairness.
Yeah. I don't care anymore.
Right. He says, well, in all fairness, and he's about to say, like, you told me I could use your room.
She does not care.
Yeah. She's like, screw fairness or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, she is kind of one of those women that, like, I don't know, she gets away with, like, being so rude to everyone. And Ren's like, just like, oh, she's quirky.
Oh, you. That's just...
that's where it's very manic.
That's just Sally.
Dream girl. Like, if I try and behave that way, no one is like, oh, how charming. Like, ugh, this bitch.
And so Natalia shows up, and she's gorgeous.
And she's excited that there's other people there because she wants to
She's like, oh, good.
She wants to be practicing her English.
Yeah, she's like, oh, good. There are more people here. This is good for conversation.
Yeah, and so, like, the conversation is terrible.
Yeah, what is it that they talk about? She like jumps right into it. She's like,
no one else wants to talk.
Yeah.
No one else wants to talk. And then finally Natalia's like, I did have a cold.
But I don't anymore.
And then she tries to say, or no, Fritz is like, oh, a cold of the nose is the worst. And she says, oh, it wasn't a cold of the nose. It was a cold of the bosom. And she tries to explain the phlegm that was caught in her throat.
Oh,
but
she calls it phlegm.
She calls it phlegm because it's spelled Phelgm.
Yeah.
And I love this line. There's a lot of really funny lines in this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
I've already skipped over a few of them, but like there's a lot of comedy that I appreciate. But no, she calls it phlegm, and then phlegm, and Brian points out, you know, it's pronounced this way because he does not know.
Right. He says a PH is always an F. And she's like, but why is the G silent? She's like, why is the G there?
Yeah, she says, Zen, why are they putting the G, please? Why are they putting the G?
And he says,
Good
question.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Which I find hard to believe for a linguistics PhD candidate.
There is probably a reason.
There's definitely a reason. I mean, and he's from the UK. So, like, if he can make sense of Welsh, like, he can figure out why phlegm is spelled the way it is.
Right.
But anyways, I digress. Yeah. So why are we putting the G?
Why are we putting the G?
Please.
So then we kind of jump to, like, after this scene, they're all best friends. They're like,
yeah, they keep up their friendship.
Yeah, they're going out and doing stuff. They're going on bike rides.
Yeah, they really like each other, and Natalia like becomes to view Sally as a confidant, and same with Fritz and Brian.
Yeah, they become friends, and Fritz thinks that he's falling in love with Natalia.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't think I thought that I just wanted to get to know her because she's rich, but I think that I'm falling in love
I
with
actually
her.
have feelings for her.
Right.
So Sally, we do the cut to where they're bike riding, whatever, and then we cut to Sally is going out to meet with her dad.
But Sally has told sorry.
Wait. Who's done what?
Sally has told
What?
Sally has told Brian that Fritz should pounce on Natalia.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about that.
And so then Brian tells Fritz that Sally said that he should pounce on Natalia.
And later on, the pouncing does in fact happen. How do we feel about this? Pouncing.
It was,
I know. I just don't know.
Because she was like, I was screaming no, and then I liked it.
I know. Yeah,
That was one thing that I was like, this could have.
It's pretty I don't know. Do we even call it borderline rapey? I mean, she does say that she consents to it.
Right.
It's just any romantic story that starts off with I was shouting and screaming no is not a good story.
Yeah. If it was just that line that was cut, it would have been a lot better.
And I don't feel like it would have changed up the story that much.
It's not necessary.
Although it maybe would have made it seem like pouncing is like really good advice.
Or maybe there was part of it.
But at the same time, I mean, that kind of was the message.
But maybe part of the message was that, not the message, but, was that he took the word pounce too literally.
Maybe. Because I do understand what Sally is saying.
She's saying go for it.
Yeah, she's saying, like, take a little initiative, man.
Right.
Like, there's a difference between being direct and being clear about your intentions, about how you feel towards a person.
But obviously Fritz is taking English lessons, not his first language.
Actually, that's a really good point.
Probably looked up pounce.
I think we have to keep that in mind.
Right?
Yeah.
So he viewed pounce as like, oh, pounce.
Are we reading too much into it? Are we trying to give a plausible reason for all of this that makes it a lot nicer than what it is?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because, I mean, obviously in the end, she consents, she falls in love with him, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But in this moment...
Is it okay? No.
No.
Are we trying to make excuses for a movie that we like? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But the thing is...
At the end of the day, she does consent.
Yes. And it's one line. If that line wasn't there about her shouting and screaming,
I know. They could have just taken out that one line.
It would have been fine.
And it was the 70s, and the fact that they talked about consent at all, honestly, is probably a big deal.
I had no idea how progressive this movie was.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
It's not only, like, just progressive. I mean, this movie, I think, changed the landscape for musical movies.
Yeah.
For Liza Minnelli, for Bob Fosse. I mean, it changed everything.
Yeah.
It created in my opinion, a whole genre of movie, and that's Fosse.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that, like, he made movies in other genres, but like he is his own thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And as the choreographer and the director, you know,
Yeah.
it's not just dancing that he does, like anyway. So, like you said, Sally's been stood up by her father.
Yeah, super duper sad.
Yeah.
When we find Brian, he comes back home. He finds Sally just like sitting in the darkness.
Yeah, with her little dickie on. Which she tears off in anger.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like during... Okay, so basically, here's what happens. She's sitting in silence. Mm-hmm. He comes home. He is consoling her, telling her, no, you are worth love.
Yeah.
Because she thinks that you're
worthy,
worthless.
you're amazing. She's like, really? You think I'm amazing? Like, this is what she needs. You know? Yeah. She's like, really? You think I'm amazing?
And it doesn't seem to me that she's just fishing. Like,
No.
she genuinely needs to hear that, like, she's valued, that she is worthy of love. And then, like, she's hugging him, and she doesn't even try to kiss him. He kisses her.
Yeah. What is it that she says? Because she's like, hold me, or like, make me warm or something, right?
No, that happened.
Oh, that's later?
No, that happened when she like tried to seduce him.
Oh, okay.
Early on, like she gets out of the shower and she's like, "You were lying about the
hot water.
About the hot water. There was none left. Hold me."
No, make me warm. No, really do it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was a different part. But
and in this scene, like she's not trying to come on to him.
He's consoling her.
And then he kisses her.
Yeah, it turns into a kiss.
It turns into a thing.
And then it turns into making whoopee.
Doing it. Mm-hmm.
And that's when maybe this time happens.
Yeah, and so we're getting this like... I mean, this is the closest thing to a montage that we get, but basically, she's singing Maybe This Time, and it is, I mean, just the lyrics are the most heartbreaking lyrics I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Singing about how, like, you know, people love a winner, so no one loved me.
What is that one sign? Lady Peaceful, Lady Happy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's me this time, you know?
Maybe he'll stay.
Yeah.
Just maybe things are going to work out for me this time. Mm-hmm. While she's singing that song at the Kit Kat Club, we get an overlay of images of her and Michael, or her and Brian, not Michael. Michael York's the actor, but her and Brian, just in a lover's embrace.
Yeah, they're pillow talking.
Yeah, they're having their moment. They're falling in love.
And that's when he says... Maybe those 3 girls were the wrong 3 girls.
Right. And this is when we get, there's just a really cute shot of her. She's got like the magazine pulled up over her lips and nose. So you just see her eyes, and she's got that widow's peak haircut and the big eyelashes.
Big fake eyelashes, yeah.
Yeah, the huge eyelashes. And it's just like classic.
But their sex scene is like... the one scene where she's not wearing the fake lashes. Did you notice this?
I did not notice this.
I think it was probably because she was going to see her dad or something. She was kind of in a very conservative getup. You know, she's like I was saying, she's wearing that like white bow dicky thing. Right. It's very prim.
No, you're right though. Like that is the most conservative that she dresses in the whole film.
Yeah. And like her bangs are swept to the side. Mm-hmm. Like she is very much like
prim and proper.
This is like her dinner with dad outfit.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
So anyway, we cut to...
I think we cut to Natalia has called on Sally. She wants to confide with her about Fritz.
Yes.
So, Natalia has invited Sally over to her big mansion.
Yeah.
And
this is when she talks about
the pouncing. This is when the pouncing comes up. Yeah. We basically already like hit the high points of this whole conversation.
So basically they had sex and now she can't stop thinking about him.
Yeah. And the sex didn't start off great. It didn't start off super consensual.
No. But eventually it was.
She makes it clear that she was into it.
Yeah, I mean now she's falling in love with him.
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, not just after the fact, like during the fact, like
Yeah.
she said. But then all of a sudden, like, all I wanted was him.
Yeah.
I don't know. It really does add to the idea of, like, when women say no, they really just want it.
Right. You just try harder and then she'll be into it. Yeah.
Okay. I give it a B minus.
No.
A B plus. A minus. The film's an A minus.
Just take the song, take that one line out.
I know. How hard could it be?
I know.
Anyways.
So anyway, Natalia but she's also heartbroken because she's Jewish and he isn't, so they can't be together. Or she thinks that he is.
That's what she winds up. Yeah, that's what she goes with. And there's some funny lines in this conversation where, like, she's saying to Sally, the reason I wanted you to come over is because, she says, quote, you, with so many, as you call, screwings, shall please tell me the truth. Because she's not sure, like, is this love or
Right,
is
does this happen every time?
Is it passion?
Right.
Yeah. You with the screwings, you know.
And she means it sweetly, you know?
Yeah. And then
I don't think that Natalia is judging her. She just doesn't know how to say it.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely just a translation issue. And then another funny line comes from Sally where Sally is basically like, girl, I don't like this. This is a shitty situation. I don't really know what to tell you. And then do they have Jewish nuns?
And now Sally feels bad.
Yeah. Because she kind of instigated.
Right. It's her fault that this happened in the first place.
Right.
She didn't know that there would be this cultural aspect to it that would keep them apart if she tried to get them together.
Right. So after this scene, we get basically just like a little meet cute.
At the laundry.
Yeah. Between Maximilian. The Baron. And Sally.
And he is cute.
He cute. He cute. He's not bad looking.
I'm not a huge fan of a blonde mustache, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah, he's real Aryan.
Yeah.
And I think that's on purpose in this movie.
Yeah.
I really think it is.
I mean, they do leave the party when the Nazis start singing.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, gotta go. I don't know. It's not.
No, I think that Maximilian, I mean, like, we see later on that, like, Brian is, like, staunchly...
Yes.
Like, anti-Nazi.
Yes.
And I think Maximilian is your apathetic, like, a little more apathetic
He's
type.
rich enough to not care.
He's like, he's like in Sound of Music with
Max.
Uncle Max, yeah.
He's like, if they're going to do, you know, whatever.
Basically.
But
she has a meet cute. Like, she drops some laundry. He picks it up. He's like, can I give you a ride somewhere? I've got my car. And when they walk out, it's like this super duper fancy Rolls Royce. Doesn't look that unlike Daddy Warbucks, his Rolls Royce.
Which was...
You know, we're in the same time period.
Wait, is it set in the same year?
Yes.
Oh my, it is the same year. Was it 31?
Yeah. And there's even more connections that, like, we'll get to later on, but... I think I texted you. I feel like Cabaret is the anti-Annie. It's the same year, same time period, just
very
totally different.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love them both. Don't get me wrong.
There's even more like connections, but we'll talk about them later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after this, we dive appropriately into the song "Money, Money,"
which I love.
Yes.
This one was added for the film. It was written for the film. Love it. Did not win anything. But
did you know, I mean, I'm sure you did because you researched the awards. But this movie won... It won the most Oscars for any movie
to not win Best Picture. Yeah. Duh, of course.
Why didn't it win Best... What did it lose to?
The Godfather.
Oh. So I can't be mad about it.
Yeah, it's like when you find out it's The Godfather, you're like, oh, all right, fair enough. Fair enough.
And there's another connection there. Guess who was in... Oh, no, she was in The Godfather too. Never mind.
But listen.
Diane Keaton.
Bob Fosse beat Francis Ford Coppola.
Crazy.
For Best Director.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is quite an achievement. It's pretty big.
I mean, I think I like this movie better than The Godfather, but...
Listen, I do too.
Okay.
I like The Godfather, but I like this movie.
It's okay. People won't yell.
Personal preference.
So anyway, we learned that Max is a baron.
Yeah, Max is rich. He's a baron, and it's not a coincidence that they're singing the song "Money, Money, 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 Money," etc., as she's getting to know.
And I love when it shows
baron.
up later when the MC shows. The song isn't even going on anymore, and the MC shows up and just goes, "Money."
Yeah. I think that that happens a few times throughout where basically like she can't get the MC's voice out of her head.
Yeah,
because I mean he represents one life and Brian is a different life, and then Max is another life.
Well, and the thing, like the all the songs end up being a commentary on everything that's going on in the movie. So it's not they don't necessarily.
It's a lot like Dreamgirls,
right?
That way,
exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of performance scenes, but the songs that they're singing represent action that's happening outside of the theater.
Yeah, in fact, the only song. Well, I mean, we were saying earlier they cut all the songs for the movie that didn't take place inside of the Kit Kat Club, but in the movie, the only song that does is the German Nazi song. Which was another one that I think it was written for the movie, but they wrote it to sound like a traditional folk song.
Yeah, and and the thing is, it is stirring. You know.
Oh no, that scene is really well done.
Well, I mean, and the song it's designed to create an emotion. You know.
I don't have any thoughts about the song, but like that scene to me, it's actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
Because. Like, number one, we start with just a boy, he looks to be about, like, 15.
Yeah.
Singing this song, and as they slowly pan down, you see that he's wearing he's got a swastika.
The Nazi insignia.
Yeah, he's got the insignia, and then you watch the crowd, and they start standing up one by one, and they're
slowly,
singing along with him.
And there's people there that don't want to stand up.
And the people that are singing and standing, they're just like, their faces are getting angrier and angrier.
Yeah.
And the whole vibe by the end of the song is like very mob mentality and like it's hostile.
And then everyone is standing.
Most everyone. Yeah, there's like you're right though. There's a couple people that we see like specifically like they are not going to stand.
Arms crossed,
yeah, like there's an older man and he's got a hat on and he's just like trying hard to look away.
Yeah.
And then, in that scene, basically, I mean, that's when Max and Sally and Brian have had like a weekend getaway together. And Sally's not with napping. Them. Yeah, Sally's napping.
Oh, but we haven't gotten there yet.
I know we haven't. They're having boy time, but basically...
no, that's when Max says, I kind of like it when she's napping.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is Brian says to Max, you think you can control them now?
Right.
He's talking about how, like, the rise of Nazism is beyond... Like, this rich baron thinks that he can stay on top of things.
Well, yeah, and he said...
Because of his money and his wealth.
And what he had said before that was, he said, they're thugs, but they're kind of necessary to keep communism at bay.
Right, like, I'm just, this is better for me because I can stay on top of things.
Right.
It's a controlled chaos.
Right.
They're evil, but as long as they're my evil, I can, it'll be fine.
Right.
And, yeah. When everyone starts singing along with this very like nationalistic song, I think that's when Brian
is like, so you really think you can control that?
Yeah, you think this is gonna be okay? It's not.
So, going back to where we were, Max wants to show Sally around. He knows about Brian. So he comes to their apartment because they're in bed together and wakes them up.
Yeah, it's so weird.
He wakes them up with champagne.
I know. It's so weird. And like, this is the start of like the weird throuple situation. It's not a throuple. Like, they're not all like poly with each other. They're not all in on it.
They don't know at the beginning.
But, like, it's clear to the audience that Max is stirring the pot.
And seducing both of them.
Yeah.
But it's also this very, like, mid-century thing. I mean,
it's weird that they're, like, just fine with him, like, coming into their bedroom when they're both, like, naked in bed, and he's just like, hello, darlings.
But isn't this kind of, like, two guys and a girl thing very, like, doesn't that happen in, like, On the Road? Isn't it, like, a very Kerouac thing, too?
I, do not care for Kerouac, so I couldn't tell you.
And then later on, it happens in other media.
I don't know. It feels like a little Gatsby-ish to me, too.
Mama tambien.
Oh, God. It just feels very, like, I don't know, like this weird time where people were a lot more willing to, I don't know, it's just a different dating culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where, like, people were really willing to just, like, openly hang out with their very recent exes and to talk openly about their past relationship, and, like, they could have easily been in love, but they're just like,
yeah,
I'm with him now. And it's...
I mean, it's free love. It's, you know, it's...
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's free love, but also there's, like, that controlled, like, societal structure that comes with it just from, like, being in the 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's weird.
Yeah.
And I feel like they were even, like, more open back then, maybe, than people are now. Or, like, more, like, willing to acknowledge it socially.
In those, like, specific bohemian areas.
Whereas, like, today, I feel like proper etiquette would be to, like, either you acknowledge it up front or you don't at all.
And I feel like those kinds of cultures anymore don't exist geographically. Do you know what I mean? Like, because of the way that social media and, like, the way that everyone's connected now, you don't need to be
sure, because we all, like, kind of know what's going on.
Right.
We don't have to talk about it.
And at this time, you move to a neighborhood to be around the kind of people you want to be around.
I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
That, like, it was unavoidable if you wanted to hang out with that crowd.
Yeah.
Whereas today, like, yeah, we're all aware of what each other is doing.
Right.
Because of social media, so it's a lot easier for us to just, like, not talk about it.
Right.
And that feels like the more like proper etiquette is to just ignore.
Right. Whereas back then, it's, you know, most of those people moved to that neighborhood because that's the kind of thing that they wanted.
Yeah. I mean, how can they not acknowledge it?
Right.
Yeah.
So Max is buying Sally fancy gifts. He got her a fur coat and a bunch of other things.
Right.
And he also got Brian a gold cigarette case. And I think
he initially refuses it.
Yeah, and I think we're led to believe that it's like real gold.
Oh, yeah,
it shows it, like, with this light where it's shimmering.
I mean, she's wearing a chinchilla coat.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's rich AF.
Yes. But, you know, Brian doesn't want to take it. This is what they're driving, and this is when you see the dead body on the street. And they're talking about the Nazis, and this is when Max says,
this is a scene that just adds to the rising tension of Nazism
and
in
that's
the area.
when Max said, well, they're just thugs. They are... It sucks, but they are necessary to keep communism at bay.
And so as they're driving, this is where she just falls asleep. She stretches out and makes herself quite comfortable.
And he's like, do you want champagne? She's like, no, I'm sleeping. So she takes a nap.
They stop at, like, a beer garden, and that's where the whole, like, Nazi song happens. And they talk about how nice it is to just have the boys.
But before that is Two Ladies.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which is a fun song about three ways.
This is I was going to say this is my least favorite. My least favorite is the one that happens at the end with the MC and the gorilla suit.
Oh, yeah.
But that's another conversation.
I think it's, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, but with this one, I'm not crazy about Two Ladies. But I get it. I mean, I feel like it's one of those songs that would have been funny in the 30s. I don't think it was funny in the 70s. It's definitely not funny today.
But, like, I get it. It's not necessary for the plot. Unless we're just talking about like this three-way relationship.
No, I agree. Like, it's really, I don't really know what the song is doing here.
Yeah.
Except for exactly. Like, I was sort of thinking maybe this is alluding to the situation that's going on between Max, Brian, and Sally, but it's obviously the inverse.
Right.
Where we have two men, but it's also like they're not doing a threesome.
Yeah, what they're doing isn't like a three-way sexual relationship.
It's not. It's like it's all very secretive.
Yeah.
And so that makes me wonder, like, is this song supposed to have anything to do?
I don't know what it's saying necessarily.
I don't either. So, like, this is another moment, and there's only a couple, but this is another moment where I'm not sure that it's necessary or needed.
I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's a fun song, but I don't think it's necessary to the plot or anything.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff they do with the sheet, like, it's really funny.
It's cool choreography.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
When the, like...
And again, if you put yourself in that 1931 mindset, I mean, this is stuff that's never been done before, so that's, interesting.
And they're like, I mean, some of the moves are like, how do they do that when they're like writhing around under the sheet, and then like he pops out, and then her head like pops, like goes down under her, between her knees, Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah.
In that sense.
It obviously took a lot of staging.
Yes. I can't imagine rehearsing that. So now Max has invited them to his country estate, and he gets Brian to accept a gift, the blue sweater, and this is when you start to see their flirtation happening.
Yeah. He basically forces that gold cigarette case.
He puts it with
Brian.
the sweater, right?
Yeah, or like with an outfit that he's given him to wear.
Yeah.
And we
says
see
that Max says that he has a wife.
Well,
but they have an understanding.
And I think in that moment when he talks about the understanding that they have, you can look at it as him just saying, we have an open marriage.
Uh-huh.
But I truly do believe that he is trying to tell Brian she is okay with me sleeping with men.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there's a different connotation when he says, like, we have a very understanding
Right. It's like
marriage.
A wink.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, especially when, like, Brian is shirtless and he's helping him pick out something cute to wear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have to... oops, I've got to take off my shirt to put on this other shirt. Yeah.
And he looks good.
He's so skinny, but
but adorable.
Yeah, so, yes.
Skinny
so adorable.
In a great way. He doesn't look too skinny.
So then the three of them are getting drunk, and they have this, like, not weird. They have this drunken, like, three-way dancing moment.
Yeah, like, they're about to have a thing, and then Brian gets really overwhelmed.
And it's not clear whether he's, like, actually too drunk to do this, or
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think that so basically, like, they're all just, like, they are faded. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, they are in, like, the 4 a.m. mode.
Yeah.
Where, like, they've probably been doing drugs, they've been drinking all night, they're still awake, and they just want to pass out.
And they start to all kind of look at each other.
Stuff's like, getting weird.
Is this going to happen? And,
yeah. Party weird, y'all.
And I think that, and Brian is like, I think that part of it is a decision, and part of it is like he's too drunk. But he's like, he breaks the whatever.
Yeah, because they just wind up in this like weird, like you're right, like hypnotic kind of embrace.
Yeah,
and like they're all leaning in, and it's like they're about to all kiss each other, and then
all
he
it takes
realizes.
Is like a little,
I think he just has a brief moment of like clarity, and he's like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste my life at the Moulin Rouge with the can dancer.
Right.
Like one of those moments. And he panics and he breaks it up, and then he has to pass out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then this is when he and Max go to whatever the beer garden is. And this is when you see that Brian is now using the cigarette case. He offers Max a cigarette with it.
Right.
And then that's when...
And they're talking about Africa.
Right. He wants to bring them to Africa, right?
Yeah, and I think the whole time, I think everyone knows that Africa is not going to happen.
Except for Sally.
Except for maybe Sally.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think she might too.
She went out and got a safari hat.
She did. She did. You're right. I mean, she must have bought that purposefully
Right?
because why else would she own it?
Right.
But I think that, I don't know. I feel like even with her, like, she knew that it was sort of a pipe dream, but, like, again, like, this is Sally. Like, she's going to go for it.
She's letting herself believe it because that's what she needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. They all know that it's not going to happen, but it's something to talk about.
Yeah.
And pretend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love talking about pretend vacations. It's one of my favorite things.
Let's go on safari.
Right. I mean, I don't want, like, I
Listen, I can't afford real vacations.
No, but I look up Airbnb vacation houses all the fucking time.
This is what keeps me going.
During the pandemic, I was, like, glued to Zillow. I was like, this is my anxiety relief.
Yeah.
So then, anyway, the young Nazi stands up and sings "Tomorrow Belongs to Me."
Yeah, he is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, flying purple people eater. He's just like a quintessential Aryan Nazi.
Yes. And we've basically...
And he signs off the song with like a Heil Hitler.
He ends with a Heil, which...
The Nazi salute.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've basically talked about all of this already.
We have.
But it ends with them getting in the car and Brian saying, do you still think you can control them?
So then we finally, we cut back over to our subplot.
Yes.
Our B-plot with Fritz and Natalia.
And she's leaving her house, and he is trying to talk to her, telling her that he's in love with her, he wants to marry her. And the whole time she's, like, driving, and he's just, like, running alongside the car, and eventually, like, jumps on a moving car that seems to be going pretty fast.
Yeah, he's passionate. But let's also be frank about, like, what kind of car we're talking about. Like, it's basically your equivalency of, you know, those SUVs that have, like, a little, like a step built into them.
Yeah, he can
so
jump
he's like jumped onto that, but also there's no roof, so like it's easy for him to hang on.
Right.
At the same time, it's the 1930s and cars are new ish, and so like even if he's jumped on at 15 miles an hour, that's probably like death defying.
And he kind of does it without realizing it. After he does it, he's like, I've never jumped on a side rail before.
Oh, I did that. Oh, no. Yeah. And so basically, like, he's desperate to be with this woman, and she tells him, I can't marry you. I'm Jewish. You're not. Look at what's going on right now.
And he says,
we can't do it.
And he says, is it because of your parents? She says, no, it's because of me.
Yeah.
It's sad.
I mean, it's just because, like, it truly is because she sees what's going on, and, like, I think she doesn't want to, in her mind, burden him.
She doesn't want to put him in danger. She doesn't want,
Yeah, just in general, things are not good between our people.
Right. So we cut back to the boarding house, and Sally is packing. She's wearing her safari hat.
Yeah, she's got her mesh. I don't know what that cap style is called, but Melania famously wore one when she visited... I don't know, it was some country in Africa, and everyone's like, oh, girl, that's what you went with? You went with the safari look?
She Googled safari outfit.
Yeah. Anyways, that's what Liza is wearing as Sally in this scene.
And she's kind of like, and this is where I agree with what you're saying, like, she's kind of frantically packing in this way that's like, this is her convincing herself that this is really happening.
Yeah. I mean, she throws herself into everything fully.
Yeah. And she says that she already told the landlady that they are leaving for 2 months.
Yeah, at least 2.
Yeah. But things sort of start to unravel, and they admit to each other that they're both sleeping with Max.
Yes. And even before, so something I was curious about, even before we get to that, like, when Max drops Brian off, like, there's a weirdness between the two of them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they both just seem really... I don't know. Maybe it's because of all the Nazism. But
it could also be like post-sex weirdness.
Yeah. but you're right. Like, okay, so that's when they both reveal that they've both been sleeping with Max. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we really haven't gotten a lot of other indications that these people have been sleeping with each other. So that's what I'm wondering about. Like, is that why they're so tense when Max is dropping him off, like, because they've had relations? Because we don't see anything. Because,
this whole time you're sort of, the tension is building and you think that it's going to happen. You don't know that it's already happening.
Right. Like, you sort of think, like, maybe a threesome is going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, you in my opinion, you don't know.
It's not clear that it's already happening.
It's really not. No. Like, it's a big surprise.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big surprise when she says, like, he says, well, you know, why don't you screw him? Mm-hmm. And she says, well, I am.
Yeah.
And that's a big surprise, but it's a bigger surprise when he says,
like, me too.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And that, and here is one clue, though. When Max says, I like it when she's napping, does that mean I like it when she's napping because that's when I get to have sex with you? Right,
and they're definitely giving each other vibes.
Yeah.
Like, when they're in the bedroom and he is helping him pick out a sweater, when they're in the beer garden,
so when did it start?
Definite vibes. That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's maybe, okay, so there's two things. Uh-huh. Two things now that I've noted in this movie that they could have done differently. I don't want to say better. Yeah. You know, I mean, they did win, or Bob Fosse did win the Academy Award.
They won 8 Oscars.
Best Director. Yeah. But, I feel like that should have been more explicit, like what was going on between Max.
Yeah.
And Brian, respectively, and then Max and Sally, respectively.
When did their separate relationships become sexual?
Right. So, but once it's all revealed, Brian, he storms out, and he basically just, like, decides to tell off the first Nazi
that he needs to blow off some steam. He needs to get some anger out or whatever.
So he takes these papers. It's like propaganda
flyers.
Yeah. And he throws them on the ground, and he shouts at this Nazi.
And at first they're laughing at him, but then he starts, like, kicking over the flags and blah, blah, blah.
And then they beat the shit out of him.
Cut to him in bed, like, beat to a pulp.
Yeah. So then we cut to he's waking up. He's totally bloodied. He's got a black eye, like a really fat lip.
Yeah, like a fully closed black eye.
Yeah.
Which is gross.
He's seriously injured. Yeah. But Sally is there, and she's cracking jokes like they used to. She pretends like nothing weird has happened.
Yeah.
She's just there for him, and then she does read the letter that they received from the Baron.
And Max has told them that he has to go to Argentina immediately.
Right, he's like feigning family matters or something, but so they reconcile. Brian can't really talk, but he makes it clear that he has forgiven her. She's forgiven him. They still love each other. They reconcile.
Do you think the money that he sent them is a little dirty? Do you think?
Oh, right. So he sent them money, and he sent them 300 marks, 150 apiece.
Yeah.
I think it was not him necessarily trying to pay them, but the joke she makes about it being compensation is dead on.
Yeah. It's his apology for breaking their Africa plans or whatever, but it also seems like vaguely...
Yeah.
Like, thanks for the sex.
Yeah. It definitely is. Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, he bought them nice things. He took them out.
Yeah.
That's what he knows to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out they were the gigolos all along.
So after they reconcile, we cut to back at the Kit Kat Club. We get the Kit Kat dancers doing Tiller Girls.
And you don't notice until the close-up that one of these beautiful women...
is the MC.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He looks good in drag.
He does. He does.
With his little belly button showing.
But meanwhile, while that song is going on, again, like, whenever you see violence, or not even just violence, but just, like, anything that's aggressive happening on stage at the Kit Kat Club, there's something equally as aggressive happening IRL, and that's when we see that
every action has an equal and opposite reaction. No.
Yeah, it's true.
It's horrible.
They've killed Natalia's dog,
and they've painted Juden,
Jew,
on her doorstep, and
they
fucking killed her dog and left it on her doorstep. Ugh.
Yeah, it's really, really awful. So we just, it's just an example of how the anti-Semitic tide is rising.
Yeah.
In Germany. So that happens, and then we cut back to
Sally and Brian.
Yeah, Brian is in the library.
Oh, right. And she screams that she's pregnant in the middle of the library.
Says, God damn it, I'm gonna have a baby. She does not know who the father is.
Yeah. And she's like, obviously I can't keep it.
Yeah, her immediate plan is to get that abortion.
Right. So it cuts to them, like, in their apartment with all these candles, just kind of like drinking and having fun.
Well, I mean, no.
Oh, no. Okay.
They go home.
Yeah.
And it's a very somber moment. They go home, and she walks into her room, and he walks into his room, and they're silent.
Yeah.
But then he comes out of his room, and he opens up her door and says, I would like to marry you.
Oh, I missed this. Okay.
He proposes to her.
I must have been... Sometimes when I'm taking notes, I miss things, which is counterintuitive.
Fair enough. No, he proposes to her.
Yeah.
And they decide to make a go of it.
Yeah.
And he establishes, like, during the candlelight scene,
that they're gonna
where they're just like on the ground together. Yeah. That they'll have the baby together, and he doesn't care if it's not his.
Yeah, she says, "Do you don't mind?"
Yeah, they're very well aware that it might be Maximilian's.
Yeah,
but he doesn't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next day, Brian is meeting up with Fritz again for their English lesson, and
but before that, the landlady and the other dude are having that conversation in the common space of the boarding house.
So we see that, like, anti-Semitism is on the rise, even within the boarding home.
And it's eerie how much these conspiracy theories, like, sound like conspiracy theories that are happening today.
And when Brian calls them out, he's just like, you guys are full of shit.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't make any sense. And then I think the landlady says, like, well, they're only reporting it every day.
But she means they're reporting it in, like, the propaganda flyers.
Right. But I mean, in her mind, that's news reporting every day.
Yeah, it's
that's
like people saying today, like, well, Breitbart said it.
Right. It's so prominent today.
Yeah.
Or so relevant today because it's still
InfoWars said.
Yeah, totally.
But the quote itself is that the man says that it's an, quote, international conspiracy of Jewish bankers and communists.
And then Brian says, well, clearly you're also a member of the international conspiracy of horses' asses.
Which is a great line.
Yeah, I really, really love how anti-Nazi Brian is. I know, Brian is the best.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're all Team Brian here.
So now Brian and Fritz are talking.
Yeah, so they're having their English lesson, and Fritz confides in Brian that he is secretly Jewish.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But he was afraid, afraid to live his life in Germany. So he moved to a new town.
And Brian, in his naivete is like, well, this should make it easier then.
Right.
Which, and of course it doesn't.
It wouldn't make anything easier to be openly Jewish
No.
in Berlin in 1931. But in Brian's mind, it's like, well, just tell Natalia that you're Jewish and then you can marry her.
Yeah.
But if he does tell Natalia that he's Jewish, then he admits that he's also a liar.
Right.
And he's terrified of telling Natalia that he lied.
Right.
Brian tries to encourage him, just tell her the truth. You're really underselling her to think that she would care, you know.
Yeah.
He thinks that she would understand hiding one's religion in this context.
And ultimately he's right, because you don't really get her reaction to this news. It just kind of...
You don't, and I don't know if there could have been more there.
Yeah.
It's obviously the side plot, so there wasn't going to be a ton of screen time dedicated to them, and maybe it's a little too easily resolved. But
his answer that it makes it easier is it's too simple of an answer, because it makes it complicated in the fact that he's admitting that he's a liar, and it makes them both vulnerable. Yeah. So anyway, now we jump to If You Could See Her, which is the ape number.
So, okay, this is a really interesting number. Okay, so yeah, for anyone that hasn't seen it, basically the MC, who has been established as what we think is a friendly character.
Yes.
He's clearly at least androgynistic, you know. He doesn't have a defined sexuality.
Yeah.
If he did, we'd probably assume queer.
Yeah.
He does drag. He wears full makeup.
Yeah.
He's doing a number where he is singing to a person dressed in a gorilla suit.
Yes.
And the gorilla's wearing like
a pink frilly dress.
Yeah, it's very feminine.
Yeah.
And the whole song is about, like, if you could only see her the way that I do.
Yeah.
But at the very end, he says one thing that just ruins everything. And he says, maybe she wouldn't look that Jewish.
Right.
And so the first time I saw this, I did not know what to do with it.
I think that this number, I think it serves a purpose in the story as far as
like how much Nazism is taking over.
Yeah. I don't think that, I think that it's a hard pill to swallow, but
that this person that you thought is really progressive and really like counterculture friendly.
But is it even, and that's the thing, is like, is this a character or
that he's putting on stage because he knows what his audience is?
Right.
But he's still doing it.
But is it,
he's still making the joke.
But I still don't really view him as an individual. I view like his numbers as like social commentary. You know what I mean? Like he's
sure.
What he
and again, like his audience is like
progressively more
speaking
Jewish
to what his audience is.
Yeah, I mean, his audience is getting more and more Nazi,
not Jewish. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Anti-Jewish.
Exactly,
Yeah. Yeah, but he's still participating in it.
Right.
He's still letting it happen. And then you have to keep in mind, too, like, well, he's also a vulnerable person.
And I think
in this climate that's taking over. Is it self-preservation?
But it's also satire.
Right, of course.
I think that it's, I mean, I don't know if he's necessarily agreeing with what this song is saying or poking at the people that would, you know. Well,
so let me tell you how it goes down in Fosse Verdon.
Okay. Oh, do they talk about this?
Yeah, they do. In the FX show about Bob Fosse and Gwen Verdon.
Yeah.
The first episode, it's either the first or second episode, they talk about the making of Cabaret.
Yeah.
And actually, the gorilla suit is a big point of contention.
Really?
And that Gwen Verdon flew back to New York to find a gorilla suit that they thought was realistic looking enough.
Yeah.
Because the one that the producer had come up with when they were shooting in Germany, they said it was too comical. It was too obviously a joke. They wanted the tone to be as serious as possible for a joke situation.
Yeah.
So she literally flew to New York, found a gorilla costume that she thought would work, flew back within 72 hours. And the whole point was they wanted the audience to see that this character that everyone had been in love with was also a monster.
Right.
Deep down. That he, like, in the show, they talk about how, no, the character is also supposed to have these anti-Semitic...
Interesting.
...viewpoint. Like, you think that this is cute and funny, you love him, but at the end of the day, like, he is...
Nobody is immune to
right
it.
on board.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this is something that I always say, you know, because he's vulnerable, obviously, to Nazis as well.
I know, yeah.
But this is something that I always say, is that being marginalized does not affect your ability to marginalize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that is the biggest point, and I think that's really something that's overlooked, you know, just in general.
I think that in that sense...
In the 1970s, 80s, 90s, you know, and today.
And I think in that sense that this number is actually really important to the movie.
Yeah.
It's difficult to watch, but I think that what it's saying is important, you know?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of representation in this film that does not happen in any other film, not just in the 70s, but still today.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, like you were saying, it is very much possible to be a queer identifying person and still kind of be an asshole.
Yeah, or be like...
anti-Semitic, or have racist tendencies.
Yeah. I mean, there's a huge...
You can be gay and racist.
And there's a huge...
It's possible.
There's a huge racism problem in the gay community.
Yeah. And I think there's like a misogyny problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, hitting all of those, there's a trope of like white gays on dating apps saying no fats, no femmes, no Asians.
Oof.
You know.
Yikes. That's worse than a straight man.
Right. But there's a huge, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's a huge problem with that in the gay community.
You can be judgy and alternative.
Right.
Yeah. You can be in the counterculture and still be creating a counterculture.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we move to Fritz is shooting a shot again. He's going to Natalia's house and he's going to tell her the truth. And he shows up at her house and we kind of immediately jump to their wedding. Like, they just like immediately get married.
Oh, yeah. They get married, traditional Jewish ceremony.
Which is great.
It's really a lovely scene.
Yeah, and Sally's crying.
And you're happy for them.
Yes. And I am happy for them. Hopefully they moved.
No, me too. They make it out okay, we hope.
Yes.
And then we cut to Sally and Brian. They're on a picnic together. And this is where, I don't know, I guess Brian is just feeling aloof.
And she's doing her Sally thing. Where she's like, isn't this baby great? Isn't this baby going to fix everything?
She never really turns off.
Yeah, but she is trying to convince herself that this baby is the right idea.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. It's going to fix everything. I think she even says those words, like, it'll fix everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like...
And everybody knows that all a couple needs is a baby to fix everything.
Right? Yeah, it just makes things so much better if you already have a complicated
so much easier. But
you're right. He's super
pretty
distracted.
Aloof, and he's just, I don't know, like, where he's coming from, truly, but he's just not vibing the same way that she is. And I mean, it's hard for anybody to vibe the same way Sally does.
Right. But it's not clear why he's in this mood, really.
It's not. I don't know.
And I think that ultimately the reason is that, like, he doesn't actually want to have the baby.
You think so?
Yeah, I think... I don't know. I mean, I feel like he made that proposal kind of out of an obligation feeling, you know?
I think that it could have something to do with the fact that, like, he's maybe just discovered his sexuality.
Yeah.
and didn't really get an opportunity to explore it.
That's true.
But they don't, but also, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of making that up. Like, they really don't give us a lot of indication.
Because this is the only time that he's like that, when he's like despondent like that. But ultimately, what happens is that Sally sneaks out and has her abortion.
Right. So, yeah. So in that moment, like, while he's being aloof, she's trying to imagine their life together as a baby. Or not as a baby. Their life together as a baby. Their life together with a baby. Those prepositions, you know, they're hard. Life together.
Their life together with... on a baby.
Their life together with a baby. I think that during that moment, we see scenes of the Kit Kat Club. Yeah. Like, once again, she is hearing over and over the voice of the MC in her head. Like, she's imagining all these moments, and even some moments with him that she's not gonna have ever again if she accepts this life of domestic bliss.
Yeah, you're kind of seeing, doesn't it? It like shows a bunch of like flashbacks of her freedom,
singing, and then her with Brian and her with Max. I mean, it's just a bunch of stuff that
you can't do on a baby.
You can't do on a baby. You can't do it as a baby. And so, yeah, I mean, she's imagining all of this, and she does say that she loves him.
Yeah.
And he believes her, but then she says, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And that's when you know, like, she's made up her mind.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And it's almost like we said again, it's like the lady doth protest too much. She's like, isn't this going to be great? Isn't it? Isn't it? It's going to be great. And then he's not agreeing, so she's like, well, shit. You know.
Well, shit. So the next scene, she is showing up back at home, and
obviously in pain.
Obviously in pain and not wearing a fur coat.
Yeah.
It had been established earlier that she would have to pawn her fur coat to pay for the abortion.
Yes.
And she's not wearing it when she gets home, and Brian notices pretty quickly.
Yeah. And he's being
like pretty reasonable.
Oh.
What? I think he's being pretty reasonable.
I just thought that he
like just committed to marry him, have a child together, move to England, and then she comes home and like she's clearly gotten an abortion without talking to him at all. And look, I'm not saying that it was his choice, but like she made plans with this man,
right,
about having a family together,
and all of it was like her idea. I agree with you. But his attitude is also, like, not great when he breaks it to... Okay.
How? He winds up saying to her that he is okay with it.
Oh, no, but no, this is what it was. He says, why did you do it? Does someone offer you an acting part? He's like... This is what I'm talking about. He's like, did someone give you, like...
Yeah, but I feel like, why did she do it?
Probably because he was being an aloof asshole. I don't know.
No, she did it because she realized deep down, like, she would never ever want that lifestyle, but she led him to think that she was okay with it.
She convinced herself that she was okay with it.
Agreed. I don't want to make her sound like a demon. Like, she's absolutely not. She's just being human in this moment.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he's doing anything wrong at all. And at the end of the day, he still says...
Those were low blows, those jabs about, like, getting apart or something, like doing
she also told him, though, that she would marry him and have a baby with him, and then all of a sudden, like, she just comes home and none of that is real anymore.
I know. It's
like, he's coming from a defensible place, I think.
It's reasonable for him to be upset.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is in the wrong in this scene.
No. Okay.
I think he's being reasonable, though.
But he keeps asking her why.
Well... Does he not have...
No. That's not... I'm not saying that it was wrong for him.
Yeah, he should be allowed to know why in this situation.
And she's not wanting to answer, but ultimately she says, because I'm too self-centered. Yeah,
she says a lot of, like, self-deprecating things about herself, but also, like, maybe it's mostly deprecation, but also maybe awareness.
It's also the most self-aware she's been.
That's what I'm saying. Like...
Yeah.
I think that she beats herself up, but she also, she knows who she is.
She's not cut out for a baby.
She's not cut out for domestic wedded bliss.
She's not cut out to be on a baby.
So in our last scene, Sally is...
She says she loves him.
Yeah, and he believes
they
her.
reconcile. He ultimately is very understanding.
In our last scene, she's escorting him to the train station. He's returning back to Cambridge.
Yeah.
And they're leaving very amicably. It's still sad.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty sad because I think deep down they just know it won't work together.
Yeah.
But it's their probably first true loves.
Yeah.
And it's bittersweet. They leave on good terms, but it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the MC.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I don't think that they were never gonna end up together, you know?
I think that's why it ends so well, or it ends on such good terms, is like they both know, like, this couldn't have worked.
Yeah.
But I still have very deep feelings for you.
Right. And she's not gonna walk him down to the platform. She's like, I don't do that. I'm not gonna wave to you from the platform.
But doesn't she say that she has like an interview or an audition or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. She has other things to do.
But that's also...
It's just part of the facade.
Right.
Yeah.
She doesn't...
They're just protecting themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we end with, we're back at the Kit Kat Club, and the MC is, I mean, basically they're doing, like, a reprise of Willkommen, but it's very warped.
Well, this is also the song Cabaret.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I totally jumped over that. We cut to her singing
Cabaret.
Cabaret.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Huge.
Yeah.
She's singing Cabaret because that is the life that she has chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And then the movie ends with the MC doing this like really warped version of Willkommen, and we get that warped mirror image where you're seeing the audience and it's full of Nazis.
Right. Which, when you know that the stage show has the audience seeing themselves...
Yeah, that's really interesting.
It's like, the mirror has a lot of... A mirror always has a lot of imagery.
Well, and on
it,
stage, when the audience has to look at themselves, that means something.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I just got chills.
Me too. Okay, so...
But yeah, it ends so ominously, and I think it has to because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it only goes to shit after that moment.
Oh,
yeah.
And that's the movie.
Counterculture, man.
I loved it, though.
I loved it, too. I'm so glad you enjoy it.
I'm sticking with A.
Yeah, I am, too. There's a few moments that, like if it were to be made today, there are areas where we could improve.
Yeah.
But for what was done in 1972, mwah.
But it's like, the things that I would change are like a couple of seconds. You know what I mean?
Right.
Overall, it was so good.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay.
Let's talk about awards.
Yes. I want to talk about awards.
As you noted earlier, it is the most winning... The winningest. It won the most awards for any picture that didn't also win Best Picture.
Yes.
Best Picture that year, it was the 1973 Academy Awards, went to The Godfather, which means it's extremely notable that Bob Fosse won over Francis Ford Coppola.
Right.
And also, Bob Fosse,
one director over who is considered like
one of the all-time greatest directors,
and one of the best. What people view it as like one of the best movies of all time.
Not even that, but get this. So Bob Fosse had one other directorial credit under his name. It was Sweet Charity, and it was a complete bomb. Total bomb. Yeah. Huge bomb. And he almost didn't even get this movie.
And this was the 9th musical movie to be put in the Library of Congress.
Ah, the 9th.
Yes.
Do you have the first 8?
I don't. But for noting its like cultural significance.
No, huge significance.
Yeah.
Very true. Also, on the note of Bob Fosse winning Best Director, only individual to win Oscar, Emmy, Tony, all in 1 year.
Wow.
In the same year. He got the Emmy for Liza with a Z. And then he got the Tony for, it was either Pippin or Chicago. No, Chicago was way later.
Yeah, I think Chicago was
It
later.
must have been Pippin.
Pippin.
But anyway,
Magic to do.
It may not have been. But the point being, like, he is so close to was so close to an EGOT.
And to do an EGOT in 1 year.
In 1 year. Oh, it makes me so mad that he didn't have just like one record. But I mean, he's a choreographer, so how is that gonna happen?
Right.
Ugh, so frustrating.
So
You know, my friend, by the way, a very good friend of mine was sending me really cool trivia the other day because we both just really like trivia.
Love
Did you know
trivia.
that like Hugh Jackman is only one award away from an EGOT?
an Emmy?
Yeah, Emmy.
Wow.
There's a bunch, like there's a whole Wikipedia article on actors that are only one away from an from an EGOT.
Hugh Jackman got an Oscar?
Oh no. He's that's the one. It's
Oh, 'cause-
actually Oscar that he's missing.
Did he win an Emmy for like the
Some like made for TV something or other.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the musical won, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Tonys. This is, I think, tied with the most Tonys.
Yeah, 8 Oscars.
8 Oscars.
For the movie.
10 Tonys for the musical.
Insane.
It won Best Musical, Best Score. Joel Grey won the Tony for this role. I think he won
He got the Oscar
too.
too, yeah.
Peg Murray won. I think that she was Sally. Best Director won. Best Choreography. Best Scene Design. Best Costume. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. No, wait, no, it's 8 Tonys. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Also, 8 Academy Awards. Liza did win Best Actress, and I believe that was her second Oscar, which is insane because it was also one of her first movies.
And also considering that she's not... Her performance is so good. I don't... like, what happened to her career after this?
I don't know. Like, was it... Also, though, like, didn't she get deep into pills? I think that...
Probably.
I think there was some, like, a lot of trauma that resulted from the life that she grew up in.
Right. I mean, also, this movie was made very shortly after her mom died.
Yeah, I mean, that
And-
seems like a really stressful
Yeah.
childhood.
And she's also one of those Hollywood people that, like, people stop taking seriously because she got married too many times. You know, like...
Well, sure, but so did Elizabeth Taylor.
Right, but that's the kind of... Elizabeth Taylor kind of became a joke, too, in people's minds because...
You think so?
Yeah. Because you remember how she was, like... Everyone thought that she was weird because she was, like, best friends with Michael Jackson and, like... I don't know. The 90s were a weird time.
Oh, I forgot about that. But also, like, Liza Minnelli married a really weird guy.
Yeah. Yes.
So, like, what was going on there in the 90s with, like, really androgynistic?
I don't...
But also, like, Michael Jackson was probably a pedophile.
Yes.
Ooh, what was happening in the 90s?
I don't know.
Ah.
It's gross. But don't say that because Michael Jackson stans are scary.
Okay, but, like, Michael Jackson is going to come up, actually, in
Okay.
our next discussion, which is about the Golden Globes.
Okay.
Okay, so as has been established numerous times, for some reason, the best musicals never win Best Original Song.
Right.
They never win it. I mean, honestly, that could be its whole podcast. Like, why don't these musicals ever win at the Golden Globes?
I mean, they always try.
But more importantly, why do the songs that win, why do they win? So here's what we got. Best Original Song, Mine Air, nominated. Money Money, nominated. Winner went to a song called Ben for the movie Ben.
Like Ben?
Yeah, like the name Ben. From Wikipedia, Ben is a 1972 horror film about a young boy and his pet rat, Ben.
What?
The film is a sequel to the movie Willard. The theme song, Ben, is performed by singer Michael Jackson. It was also included on his 1972 album of the same name.
The album was called Ben?
Ben.
But
I've never heard of any of this.
neither have I. Obviously, he was a child, right?
I mean, it was 1972. I mean, maybe. How old was he in the Jackson 5 film? I know he was the youngest, but
I mean,
that was in
young
the
enough for
early 60s.
Young enough for his voice to not have changed.
That was like early 60s, so this would have been 10 years. He was probably early 20s.
No.
In 72?
Let me look up. I'm looking it up.
Wasn't he... He was at least a child in the 60s. He was alive.
I thought he was a child in the 70s. I'm looking up he was born in 58.
Yeah.
So that would make him
12.
He was 10 and 60. So
He was 12.
yeah,
14.
12 or 13, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
A child.
Singing about pet rats.
He was really obsessed with
Name Ben. And that's what won.
Did you look up the song?
I mean, I've got it, but I haven't listened to it.
Okay. I would like to hear that.
I know. I don't think we can play it right now.
Probably not.
I don't think we can play it.
Y'all look up Ben.
Ben. It's from the movie Ben.
And the album Ben. Featuring Ben.
It's about a rat named Ben.
That is so weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Golden Globe winner, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it didn't do as well at the Golden Globes as it did at the Oscars. They only won 3 at the Globes, actually. They won, Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy.
Right, yeah.
Liza won, and then Joel Grey won. Everything else they lost.
Joel Grey swept everything.
He did, but you know what? I'm going to come out here and say it. Sorry, Joel Grey, but this role does belong to Alan Cumming.
Right.
In terms of casting,
So
I'm sorry, but Alan Cumming was made for it.
has he been in it?
Oh my God, like so many times.
Like he does all the revivals or whatever?
All of the revivals. There was like a TV version. I think it was actually just like the stage show recorded, but he was in the TV version. I mean, Alan Cumming has been the MC in like so many different productions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Alan Cumming is the MC.
Have you seen it? Have you seen any of his performances?
Just on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The thing is, I can see Alan Cumming in that role.
Of course.
I just can't imagine anyone else as Sally.
Okay, well, I have a few suggestions.
Okay, let's talk about it.
I have some, I have a couple suggestions, but I mostly have notes on who else has done the role. Because there's been a ton of Sallys.
Yeah.
A few MCs, but a ton of Sallys.
So when the stage show is revived...
Well, there's been 100 different revivals.
But do they stick to the original musical?
I think that's a good question.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I don't know what to tell you
because it's
I don't
so
have
different.
Notes on like which actress did which version
because it's so different than the movie.
It is, yeah.
But people are so attached to the movie.
That being said, Sally's character I don't think differs that much.
Yeah,
I think Sally stays true.
Sure.
Whereas the side plots, etc.,
yes,
change. Mm-hmm. So here's everyone, at least that I wrote down, that's played Sally over the years. Recently, we have Emma Stone.
Really?
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, she's just like, at this point, she's that one actress. I mean, she comes up in our conversations a lot for recasting.
This was obviously pre-La La Land.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Did she do it on Broadway?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
On the Broadway revival. But here's the thing, like, they always bring in a hot young actress for the Broadway revival, and she does, like, 10 shows, and then that's, like, it.
Yeah.
And does that really count? I mean, I know it does for the Tonys, but should it?
I don't know.
I feel like it shouldn't. I feel like you shouldn't just get to show up for 10 shows, which, like, honestly is, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah. Less.
2 weeks.
I mean, usually... I think a week on Broadway is like 8 shows. I think it's like 8 shows.
Right. You usually do 2 on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to discount her. I'm sure it was a great performance, and I like Emma Stone.
But part
I really
of Broadway,
do.
part of what you're being rewarded for is your fucking stamina.
Right.
To be able to be on Broadway. And
so I'm just like, I'm not a huge fan of, like, hot actresses or actors showing up to do a limited run and then getting all the Tonys for it.
Did she get Tonys?
Well, I don't know that she did specifically,
Yeah.
but, like, you know that happens.
Yeah. And I don't really see her vocally really pulling it off.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear any of it, but
Yeah.
I can see it.
I think that she could pull off the character. It's just such a demanding role vocally.
So after Emma Stone, the actress that took over for her is Sienna Miller.
She
Right?
sings?
I know.
Interesting.
I know. Sienna Miller is, like, not famous for a lot. She
Yeah.
was in this movie called Factory Girl.
Right.
That was about
Andy Warhol.
but what was her name? What was Factory Girl's name?
Factory.
Yeah, I mean that I feel like that says it all in terms of memorability.
Yeah, she was this
Was it
sucks, but she was like kind of just famous for marrying Jude Law, right?
Yeah, and then they divorced because he cheated on her with the nanny,
Right.
as they all do. After Sienna Miller, Michelle Williams, she was in the role. She also played Gwen Verdon on Fosse Verdon, so
I'm
like
fine
that
with
makes
that.
sense. Yeah, no, we love.
We at the podcast love Michelle Williams.
Yeah, no, she's on our A-list.
So she sings?
Oh my God, she sings in Fosse Verdon, and she's so good.
Oh, she's gonna have to go into my list of recast.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, in the Rolodex.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Brooke Shields
When?
in the 90s
Okay.
was in a revival. Molly Ringwald, also in the 90s. Natasha Richardson, 98. Oh, here, get this.
Oh, I love...
Terry Hatcher,
Oh, God.
1998 touring production.
Oh, God.
Fresh
Who else?
off of...
Lisa Rinna, was she in there, too?
Listen, Terry was fresh off of Lois and Clark.
Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about these, like, stars making cameos in these Broadway musicals. The reason why the role of Roxy in Chicago is so easy for these Broadway actresses is because Roxy isn't supposed to be a good singer. Roxy is supposed to be, like, amateur and living in this fantasy world.
Right.
Which is why it makes sense for these stars.
But it's also a really good role for that reason.
Right. But that's why it makes sense for these stars who don't necessarily sing to do the role.
So
Now with Sally is a whole different story. Like you can't plop Brooke Shields in there, and I don't know.
I know. No, there's been so much stunt casting over the years.
Yeah.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, not stunt casting, in the original London production of the show, Dame Judi Dench played Sally.
Really?
Yeah. So that's pretty big.
Do you know who was envisioned to be in the musical when they were writing it?
Hold on. Give me a second.
Think about the name of the podcast.
It has to be Julie Andrews.
Yes. They
By the way, she's on the list. She's on the list of should be EGOT winners.
Right.
hasn't gotten an Oscar. Can you believe that?
She's gonna get one of those. Like,
Oh, no, wait. No, it's
career
Tony.
Oscars.
It's Tony that she hasn't gotten.
What?
I know. Isn't that insane? Yeah.
Anyway, they envisioned her in the role as like a star-making career vehicle for Julie Andrews.
Okay.
And
the stage show came out when?
66. And when
this would have been right around the time.
Well, no, when they were in development stages in 63.
Yeah.
Was when they wanted her. So this is when she was still on Broadway. This is before, Sound of Music.
But like everything was happening at the same time.
Right. And she was kind of the it girl of this kind of thing.
Right.
But her manager
wasn't that her husband at the time?
All it said what I read was manager. So I don't know. It might have been her husband.
Okay.
If they had this much say, it definitely could have been. But her manager said no because of all of the quote-unquote immorality.
The sexy stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, I get it.
I mean, it was 1963,
yeah,
you know?
I get it, you know?
Yeah. And Julie Andrews is such a...
wholesome queen.
Uh-huh.
But it's kind of like what we were talking about last time with Jack Nicholson. Like, could that career trajectory have been, like... But for this one casting decision, could everything have been different?
Could she have been seen as more of a risk taker?
Right. Or just like been given the opportunity to be adult and, sexy or sexual and just something different than a wholesome child nanny.
Yeah. I mean, I guess her Broadway career with, like, Victor Victoria, that was a little bit more subversive.
Yeah.
But still not...
But movie-wise, I mean, that was a concern she talked about, like, doing 2 nanny roles back-to-back. I mean, that in and of itself was a risk.
Right.
So, yeah, it's funny to think about how that career trajectory could have changed.
Yeah.
But it worked out.
But that's who they envisioned for the role when they
It worked out, but where is her Tony?
Give the woman
where is her Tony?
She didn't even get a Tony for Victor Victoria?
Nope. Ugh. She's missing the Tony.
Uh-huh.
She's got the Oscar. She's got the Grammy. She's got the Emmy.
So do you have any recast ideas?
Okay, so I'll also note before I get to these ideas that men who have been featured in the play or the musical, Neil Patrick Harris, that was actually his 3rd Broadway appearance, only his 3rd. So like this kind of helped seal the deal for NPH.
He's
Dennis
kind of annoying
O'Hare.
to me.
Great idea.
Who's Dennis O'Hare?
Okay, so Dennis O'Hare has been in so much, and he's kind of like a character actor, but like for me, the first time I noticed him was like in True Blood. He plays a very rich vampire.
Okay.
He's also I'm pretty sure he's in Oz.
Okay.
And he's in a lot of American Horror Story.
Because I've watched True Blood and Oz and American Horror Story.
Do you watch? Yeah.
Dennis O'Hare.
Yeah. I'm not positive about Oz, but I think he's in Oz. But he's definitely in AHS and True Blood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
For the role.
For MC?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Surprisingly, we have Michael C. Hall, a.k.a. Dexter.
Yeah.
He was also in Kinky Boots.
Uh-huh.
So I've never seen his theater side, but I want to. I'm intrigued.
He played the MC?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this one is really weird. Raul Esparza, who is a.k.a. ADA Barba from SVU.
I love him.
No, I like him too, but like that's a surprise to me.
Yeah.
That's a big surprise.
I love him. Okay, I'm into that.
Okay, so dream casting for me today. I don't think it needs to be remade today because I think the movie as is holds up.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say maybe for the MC or honestly maybe for Brian, but I'd rather it be MC. Harry Styles.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
I feel like Harry Styles needs a breakout role. And I think this could be it.
Harry Styles is the MC, Nick Jonas as
Ooh
Brian.
La la. Or vice versa.
I guess it doesn't... Brian doesn't need to be a singer, though.
No.
So it could be anybody.
It could be anyone.
It could be Timothée Chalamet.
You know what I thought about? Obviously, I thought about him. I always do. But I don't know. There's something about Timothy that's like too...
He's not innocent enough.
Exactly. There's nothing surprising about Timothy in that role.
There's something a little scintillating behind the eyes. That's
whereas with a Harry, there's something cheeky there. There's always a cheekiness to him. I also want to suggest maybe I'm going older here, but Mads Mikkelsen.
Who is that?
Oh my! You need to know who Mads Mikkelsen is. Mads Mikkelsen. He played. I think in America he's probably most famous for either being the bad guy in "Bitch Better Have My Money" by Rihanna in the music video. He was also Hannibal on NBC's Hannibal.
As who? Who do you want him to be in the movie?
Oh, the MC.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, he could. He can do weird and dark. He can.
Do you know who could do?
And he's very handsome.
Do you know who could do Sally? And I know she's having a moment of embarrassment right now in the media. But Demi Lovato could do it.
Oh, Demi.
Yeah.
No.
What?
No.
No, I see.
No, I say no. No, Demi is really stressing me out. She is too much. I don't think she has any idea what Sally is about. I think that she is... listen, I'm worried about Demi Lovato.
Kelsey, that frozen yogurt shop ruined her whole week.
It really did, and that is why I am worried about her. That's why I'm worried. I'm worried that I even fucking know what's going on with Demi Lovato right now. It's like, it's on CNN. It's on all of the blogs that I read. It's on everything.
I agree that diet culture is unhealthy, but the fact that the frozen yogurt shop had sugar-free frozen yogurt isn't diet culture.
I actually, I want to go to this. I want this frozen yogurt shop to exist in Nashville. Like, yes, please.
Also,
sugar-free frozen yogurt.
Also, there are people that can't have sugar, like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not diabetic, but I also really enjoy, like, sugar-free desserts.
Yeah.
So, like, if I can do an order online, I will.
I think, but I don't know. I feel like she could pull it off. Do you have any ideas?
For Sally? I have two, and I'm not, like, super duper thrilled about them, but I'm going to throw them out there. My first one is Julia Garner. Okay. For me, she is, like, my young 20-something darling. I think people would probably recognize her the most from Ozark, that show with Jason Bateman and Laura Linney on Netflix about, like, I don't know, a mob or something in Arkansas.
I don't really recognize her.
I saw her first on The Americans.
Oh, okay.
She plays, like, this teenage girl that they have to seduce, kind of, to get to her dad, who has state secrets. And then, like, she's also in this really good movie called The Assistant that recently came out, and it's about, like, it's focused on her, and she's a production or a producer's assistant, and it's just basically about how, like, fucked up that world is.
Yeah, this looks like she's been in a bunch of well-known stuff that I haven't seen.
She's kind of an indie darling. Yeah, she's great. And then my next suggestion is another indie darling. Aaliyah Shawkat, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Famously from... she's famously maybe from Arrested Development, which also features Liza as Lucille too.
What was it?
There
were some... I don't remember what the line was or even why it reminded me. Every time in this movie, in Cabaret, that Liza said, "You bastard!" It reminded me of Arrested Development for some reason.
There is the Liza voice.
Which isn't, I mean...
It's easy to mimic, and...
But it's not omnipresent in Cabaret. It does...
It is, and it's not. If you're listening for it, it's
But in
there.
her softer moments, it's not what it became.
Sure. I mean, do I think that she played it up?
Yeah.
Maybe.
In Arrested Development, absolutely.
Well, you definitely in Arrested Development.
Buster.
So good. But anyway, so at Leah Shawkat, she was famously maybe in Arrested Development. These days, she has Search Party.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a pretty good show.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I need to keep I watched the first couple episodes. I need to keep watching.
I'm not going to lie. I don't recommend it after season 3.
After season... I've heard that it's great, though.
It... Just watch it and report back.
Okay.
I really love seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Love them to death. I really do.
I mean, she is a little old.
She's getting there. Yeah, but
Wasn't she,
she's
like,
still
our
really
age?
young and hip.
Yeah. But she's like...
She's like probably 31.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And...
No, I know. Like, she's getting up there, but like, to me, she seems really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cooler than me.
Who else could do it? Those were your only two?
Those are my only two, really. I was thinking like Lady Gaga, I feel like would be a kind of obvious choice.
Lady Gaga would be great.
But I feel like that's also a role that like Lady Gaga would like campaign to get. Like, it's almost too obvious. You know what I mean?
Speaking of campaigning to get roles, who was it that was doing... I need to rack my brain to remember what this was. It was Amanda Seyfried, or Seyfried. She was campaigning to be in Wicked.
Oh, yeah, I think you mentioned that, actually.
Like, she wanted... I think she wanted to be Glinda, and she said that... what's her name? Anna Kendrick should be Elphaba.
Yeah.
That sounds like
this all makes sense.
That sounds like an insufferable movie.
But I don't know. I mean, there's been... I like Amanda Seyfried. I like her.
I don't think that she... I mean, I like her too. I don't think that she has the chops to do Wicked. I'm also not really a Wicked person.
I've never seen Wicked, so like, I don't know. But also, I think that Amanda Seyfried was wonderful in Les Mis, and she really impressed me. But
Les Mis, Cosette fits her voice.
Oh, yeah, crazy soprano.
But...
Is that not the role?
Wicked is all belting. It's just...
Like Idina Menzel style.
Ugh.
Adele Dazeem.
Adele Dazeem.
Okay. Well, listen, we don't have to get into the ins and outs of who we would like to see in Wicked. Do we have any other notes for Cabaret?
I don't think so. I think that Harry Styles in there somewhere is genius.
It's got to be Harry.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I love him.
He is the king/queen of modern fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love him. And his SNL performance was so good.
Yeah, no, he did well. And also, I liked Timothée Chalamet as Harry Styles. Mm-hmm. That was great, too. Yeah. But still, Timothée, take a back seat. This one's for Harry.
I mean, the Dionne Warwick show is really funny.
It is. But also, that all goes to Ego Nwodim.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I recently started following Dionne Warwick on Twitter. She's like recently gotten on Twitter.
A true delight.
And it's delightful.
Yeah.
You should give Dionne Warwick a follow because it's delightful.
We like older people on social media.
Yes.
Like Leslie Jordan.
Uh-huh.
Dionne Warwick. Yeah.
Yes.
The older the better.
Yes.
Yeah. Unless you're like our parents, in which case, don't do it.
Ew, don't follow me. I'm blocking you.
Okay, we should wrap it up.
This is probably our longest episode yet. We love you.
We love you. We will be back for our season finale.
Yes, our season finale will be the next episode. And we will see you guys next time.
We'll see you next time.
Make sure to follow.
I was gonna
do it.
I was gonna do it.
I thought maybe you had forgotten.
I never.
Go ahead.
Okay, remember to follow us. Check us out on Instagram. Our account is @TheHillsAreAlivePod.
Thank you.
We love you.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.